Hello and welcome to Cooperative Game Chat, Episode 3. We'll count that as 3, why not? I am the Wiz, alongside me with...
Zero?
Zero. How you been?
Um, Been all right. Today was a little bit of a um chaotic day because Last Ark launched for Founders this morning, and it was kind of funny watching the forums and the Steam community stuff and the game's official Reddit because this morning's Founders launch was a trash fire.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Lost Ark is an MMO that just came out. It's a Korean MMO, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's been running in Korea and Russia for I think several years now.
Yeah.
So it's being localized by Amazon Game Studios, and some people were sort of comparing it to the launch of New World, which was Amazon Game Studios' completely developed and published MMO that sort of had a bit of a disastrous launch as well too.
Well,
But
at least Lost Ark works right now, which I can say which I can say confidently it is working. It's just that
oh yeah.
when the time that was given to us to start playing the game, the ones who bought supporter packs, it wasn't ready. or
Yeah.
uh, or was it Steam wasn't processing the packing, or
Well, from what I understood from the moderator Rocks, a lot of players were expressing concerns yesterday. They were saying, "Hey, just I've already pre-downloaded the files and everything, but the button to play Lost Ark is grayed out, and it says game releases February 11th. I bought a supporter pack, so is this going to be an issue?" And of course, the poor moderators don't know what all's going on, so they were just like, "Yeah, yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. You'll be able to decrypt your files um, right at launch or right before launch, so don't worry about it."
mm,
And of course, just community was just like, "Okay, well, we hope what you're saying is true because at least with the new world when it launched, we got the pre-download done, but there was a button to allow us to decrypt New World a few hours before the servers actually turned on. So you could launch the game client. The game client would give you a big fat message saying, "Hey, servers are closed," but that's it. So
mm.
people are just like, "Okay, well, we hope Lost Ark is gonna be ready to decrypt um right at 12 p.m. Eastern."
Yeah.
Uh, so 12 p.m. Eastern rolls around. Uh-oh,
Yep.
no
Wasn't
one can
ready.
decrypt.
We're not ready yet. It's like,
Yep.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got messy because Rox had to jump on the forums and say, "Hey, I am so sorry about this. I'm working with the people who run the game. We're working with Steam. We're trying to figure out what the hell happened. Please be patient." And of course, some of the lucky streamers who got in are already streaming away, so you've got like people who are mad salt about it, and they're just like, "Oh, they had to let the streamers in," and Rox had to come and clarify and say, "Some streamers got lucky, not all, because some actually have streams showing that they're still trying to log in."
Oh, yeah. I think, what was it I told you? I had to step off of the game for a little bit,
Yep.
and I had to wait an hour to get back in.
Yeah.
So and I'm suspecting that once we're done, we record this at around 8 o'clock. I think 7 o'clock your time. But
Yep.
but we're expecting when we get back onto it, it's going to be longer to get in.
Yeah, because I think some people are reporting the queues on some of the more popular servers are sitting at like 5,000 players or something.
Yeah, I was at 3,000 when I logged back in. So guess I'm not playing tonight.
Yeah.
um, so we were able to play. I think you got more time in it than I did. What do you think so far of the experience so far playing Lost Ark?
It's fun. And because it is a free to play game, there's the usual shenanigans of multiple currencies and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because
Doesn't
there's royal crystals, and then there's like regular crystals, and like one of the mounts you can buy with royal crystals, but one of the pets that's like a little miniature baby fox. That one uses like regular blue crystals, and apparently you can buy blue crystals on the auction house via gold, and gold is earned through end game dungeon stuff. So that was a little annoying to see because the little fox pet was real cute, but um, minor issue for me there. But other than that, the combat feels good. I'm playing a Soul Fist, which is just martial arts shenanigans all over the place. So it's a lot of fun, and I just love the Soul Fist because she's just super agile, and she's just able to just follow up in the field with a bunch of monsters and everything, and just puts out a lot of damage. So been having fun with that. Um, I know that they did announce that um, all players will be able to get 2 power passes, and those are
Yeah.
basically kind of like an instant level up to 50.
Yeah, which I was surprised by. That I thought would be something that they would gate towards a purchase, which I don't know exactly what the end game is going to be like, because I'm at level 15 right now. But
Yeah.
like if they're giving power passes for 2 ults to be at level 50, then they must think that the end game is pretty important.
Yeah, because also there's the whole concept of the roster level,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I compare the roster level is it's very similar to the Diablo 3 Paragon system. So basically, the more alts you play, the more roster levels you end up building, and um, and of course, just if you want to get the most benefit out of your roster levels, then yeah, you're just gonna be alting up pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely incentivizes those who really get into the game and just get into a groove of just creating and working on multiple alts and sort of just having fun with that. So I think according to Smilegate RPG and the Amazon Games community team, the the roster level cap right now is set to level 250,
Mm-hmm.
and that's increased from where the beta was. The beta had a roster level cap of 100. So uh, definitely definitely a focus on trying to get the Western player base to really get into just playing a whole ton of alts.
Now, from what I've read and what I've, because I got deep into I got really deep into a whole of watching videos about Lost Ark. It's not a traditional MMO where you would have to have specific types of uh, specific types of fighters or healers or DPS or tanks that you must have on a party. It's meant to be a much more open experience, is it not?
Yeah, so there's not really like a traditional healer class. Um, you have Bard, and Bard's kind of like a support class with like providing buffs and stuff like that. And then you've got classes like the Gun Lancer, the Paladin that are kind of tanky, but in all honesty, uh, the best way I would compare it is it's an MMO, but it's got Diablo 3 style combat.
I'll push back on that a little bit. You do move around with the mouse, and you can press your right click to do a simple attack, but a lot of it's done on the keyboard.
Yeah, though I did find a pleasant surprise when I was logging into the game earlier this afternoon. Uh,
Hmm.
the game actually does have a gamepad mode, so if you'd
Seriously,
rather, yeah, if you'd rather just play with a gamepad, yeah, you can totally just plug one in and just you're off to the races.
did you do that?
No,
No. Okay.
mostly because with MMOs, I like to have full keyboard control, but
Hmm.
it just made me think. I was just like, you know, if it's got a gamepad mode, I wonder if Amazon Game Studios is possibly prepping this to launch on maybe Xbox Series X or PS4, PS5.
That wouldn't be a surprise. I mean, the game, despite looking pretty good, it is an aging game, and other Korean RPGs or MMOs such as Black Desert are on there. And isn't Unchained a Korean RPG as well? MMO?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That one is not one I've played.
But another one, Terra. That's another one that was a PC that's went to the consoles that I guess moved it over there pretty well. That's not a surprise. That could work. Path of Exile is on consoles, and that doesn't really work very well, in my feeling of it. But apparently, it's pretty popular on there. So
Yeah.
that that does make a if they have a gamepad mode and that works flawlessly on there. Like it's not like you can move them with the left stick, but you have to use the keyboard keys in order to do anything. That would suck. But if it's fully integrated, I wouldn't see why not putting that on consoles soon.
Yeah, it's fully integrated from what I was seeing, and they've got like the mappings for all of your skills. They've got mappings for your item shortcuts, so things like your potions and to quickly jump onto your mount and ride around the maps and things like that. Uh, it's got a whole little setup, which was very interesting to see because I was before the game had came out. I did much like you and just wanted to read a little bit more about the game. And I didn't really see any talk about a gamepad mode, so I just sort of went, okay, well, looks like this is going to be a keyboard and mouse MMO, and that's fine by me. And then when I was playing around in the options and everything, saw the gamepad mode, and it just kind of shocked me. I was just like, wow, that's interesting. Did not expect that. That's very cool to see. Um, People who like playing MMOs on gamepads, like the few folks that I know for Final Fantasy 14, they might enjoy this if they give it a shot. Who knows?
Hmm.
Especially since it's got a actual controller mode.
We went through the controls and everything. I don't think we're far enough to get into how good the questing is in this. Because I've only done a few quests. I've only done some side quests. And it seems okay. It seems like any standard MMO. You meet somebody, they give you a quest, you go do it, you come back.
Yeah, the quests for the most part seem pretty standard MMO fare. So just talk to this guy, get assigned a task you got to do the task. The task being kill five of these things, collect four of these things, or anything like that. Return to the guy, um, turn in quest, grab the next one, and then there are even some quests that require you to like defend a point or defend an NPC. So it's just one of those. Okay, how fast can you go and kill the enemies and everything? And the one fun quest that I have been encountering uh, more recently, like right before I'd logged off, was secret dungeon quests where you'll do like a side quest from an NPC, and then the NPC will give you a reward, and one of the reward items is a scroll. And
Hmm.
then you'll open up the scroll, and it'll show you like a tiny fragment of the map, and then there will be a big red X on basically just a rumor on where secret secret dungeon is, and then from there you go try to find the secret dungeon, and then you'll get a chance to enter it, and then when you do, typically it'll be a pretty good size mob of enemies,
Hmm.
and then one big boss enemy, and when you complete the secret dungeon, typically you get a piece of gear that helps you with your gear score and everything. So I found those to be kind of fun because um, you just have to sort of pay attention to the environments and everything to see where that secret dungeon entrance is.
Mm. Now, what kind of do you get any kind of different type of loot or any kind of extra stuff that you get for completing the dungeon?
Other than just a piece of loot that and it's a completely random piece of loot too. So I mean, it could be like a better helmet, it could be a better set of of pants or a chest piece or something. There's really no exact sort of piece of loot for the secret dungeons. It's just kind of, hey, here's a bunch of stuff and a bunch of silver, and then also maybe a few stronger potions and everything. But that's really about it for some of the secret dungeons.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm particularly I've been impressed by the combat. The combat is unlike most MMOs. It's actually very action and combo oriented. I just having a hard time figuring out which is the type of combos I should be doing because
Yeah,
it seems, and I don't know if that just changes as you level up, but you only get so many types of attacks, and then once you get the attacks, you can level up those attacks to do certain things differently.
yeah,
Or
and thankfully with putting the skill points into the skills to increase them. The nice thing is that you can completely reset and respec
yeah,
for completely free, which is great because if you find a build that works, then you can go with that. And then the game gives you at least one additional skill tab. So that way, in case if you want to make an alternate build, then you can just go into the second skill tab and make that your experimental build or maybe a PvP centric build
mm,
if you're into that sort of thing. And then, of course, as all free to plays are, if you want extra skill spec tabs, then you gotta pay in to get them.
mm. Now this is a free to play game. We got in to the early start by paying for it, but this is a free to play game. I have a few questions as to how they're going to monetize it. I mean, they have cosmetics, pets. Um, I'm pretty sure they're going to monetize things like name changing and and what do you call it? The server changes, something that's standard in MMOs.
Yeah.
Um, what else,
Um,
really? Because from what I've read, this game is pretty notorious for being pretty greedy across the season. It doesn't seem like it right now.
yeah. If you saw the launch patch notes that they put out,
Hmm.
they did say that that they actually have a whole westernization of the game going on,
Ah,
and it looks like where a lot of the monetization will be is going to be more on things like the crystalline aura, um, which is this. I guess you can call it like a subscriber buff that just gives you a whole bunch of perks, and it allows you to use your pet as sort of a portable bank and also a portable blacksmith and I think even a portable potion shop. So instead of having to warp back into town, you can just talk to your pet, and then your
hmm.
pet will just allow you to do these functions. And
Kind of
I
like how they
forget.
did it in what's that game? Shit, I do this all the time. What's that? What's that? The one that Runic did. God, Oh, I'm sorry. A Torchlight. It's kind of like a Torchlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then of course the crystalline aura also does stuff like it waives your triport fees. So instead of having to pay like a couple silver here, a couple silver there to warp around the maps and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it just completely just waives them to free.
Hmm.
And and then there's also a discount on ocean travel. If you're trying to max out like a NPC's affinity, then the crystalline aura also gives you like an additional chance to interact with them for the day, and just a bunch of little benefits that I'm assuming they're hoping some people just kind of plunk down cash and just go all in on the crystalline aura stuff.
Wait, do we get a crystalline aura just for paying for the game, or
Yeah, all of the founders
oh,
packs do include the crystalline aura, so bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, they've all got it.
because I've been paying silver for those teleports, so I don't know how to. I'm gonna have to find out how to get that going.
Yeah, I think I think to get the chest, you have to go to the store, and then there's going to be like a a button that's called like My Inventory, and all you just need to do is just click on that, and then it'll show you all the items that you can claim in your mailbox.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get my extra silver either, so yeah, I guess I gotta look at that and see. Uh, see what else I'm missing.
Yeah, so I think that's one way that they're going to try to monetize the game in the West. So just try to get people to really buy in on the crystalline aura because um, just there'll be a lot of energy savings and stuff like that
Mm.
for just um, saving silver in your triport fees, saving on boat travel, uh, being able to do more crafting stuff, crafting and gathering, and yeah, just a whole bunch of little benefits that seem like they would really benefit somebody who is really planning to put some serious time into really crafting out their stronghold and things like that. So I can definitely see the crystalline aura being one thing,
Hmm.
and then the other thing I can easily see is additional character slots because I believe additional character slots are about 800 royal crystals, and you can buy up to 18 of them at the from the in-game store right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, just definitely I can see that being leveraged um, to really get people into just jumping into all sorts of different alts and playing around with pretty much every single class.
Okay.
And then I think name change tickets are another big one, because I think those are like 1600 royal crystal, and then I think one of the ones that just kind of floored me was a guild name change ticket. That one is a whopping 2900 crystals. So I was like, wow, that's a pricey one there.
Yeah, better like our name then, huh?
Yep. Either get your name right or suffer the consequences.
Oh.
And then they also mentioned that for the westernization efforts, that most of the cash shop items are definitely going to be cosmetic. So definitely things like mounts and pets. Those are probably going to be one of the ways that they sort of draw people into in the West to buy up some of the stuff from the cash shop.
I don't have much more else to get into until we get further into the game. But anything else you want to add?
I'm really going to be curious on how the server load is going to hold up, especially
Yes.
considering the full launch is Friday. I know on looking at some of the forum posts and everything by some of the moderators, like Rocks, she was saying that supposedly Amazon Game Studios has some extra servers on standby to help sort of mitigate the player load for highly populated servers. But the real question is, how fast do they turn those things on? Because it was like you had said before the podcast, when you had to log off and then log back on, it took almost an hour for you to get back in with a queue of almost 3,000 players. And uh, before the podcast, I was trying to see how bad the queues were, and currently on the U.S. the excuse me, not U.S. but North America East server Una, and apparently Una is sitting currently somewhere around 5,000 players waiting to get in. So that has me a little bit worried, and that's part of the reason I haven't really cracked into my Crystalline Aura yet. Because if it's going to be something that I can't consistently get on for 30 days, then I don't want to crack into my Crystalline Aura and just end up losing a couple days because I wasn't able to get on due to server load. Or
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's the first thing we talked about once when we had problems with getting in, and then the queue that we got into was like, how the hell are they gonna do this on Friday when so many people are gonna want to try this game on for free?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely going to be really really worrisome. But again, we'll just have to see what happens and see if the actual folks in control of the servers and everything on at Amazon Game Studios actually turn on their extra servers, or if they've just been sort of feeding PR fluff to their moderators and everything.
Or they've been lowballing it, thinking that it wasn't going to be that popular.
Yeah, that too. Which um, that's just a problem as old as time when it comes to MMOs. Just developers going, oh yeah, just we've got extra servers, but we don't think it'll ever get to uh, right at capacity. And then of course, as all things do,
Yeah.
player community hits capacity, and it's like, oh no, well we have to do something. And oh yeah, well for the time being, you'll just have to sit and wait in queue. So please be patient, and we thank you for your patience.
All right. All right. Well, so far we're enjoying Lost Ark. It's an MMO. that's for sure. But hopefully by next week we'll be up to level 50. Which, one last thing I wanted to actually mention. Isn't it weird how they start you at level 10?
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. I know some people are saying that it looks like that the developers are trying to sort of um, get get the Western versions of the game sort of up to the same cadence and pace as the Korean servers and
Yeah.
everything. Um, because I saw some I guess for lack of a better term, no lifers. Some no lifers were complaining about just the tier 1 and tier 2 raid gear
Mm-hmm.
is extremely easy to get. That you could probably knock through tiers 1 and 2 for raid gear in 1 or 2 weeks. And I know that some of these no lifers were complaining, going, no, it should take forever. This is end game. This should take forever. And some people are just like, well, considering that right now on the Korean and Russian servers, tier 5 is considered the best gear, it's likely they sped up the grind for tier 1 and tier 2 just to get people onto tier 3 and put try to put everyone on the tier 3 treadmill as soon as possible in the Western launch of the game. And then once folks get on the tier 3 grind, then they should be able to slowly catch up and be close to parity with the Korean and Russian server.
Mm. Which makes sense. I mean, if you want to get close to parity to the point where everyone is on the same page, kind of like what Warframe is trying to do, not entirely succeeding, but they're trying. You want to be able to streamline that process, because it makes building the game a lot easier.
I agree, and it was just kind of funny just to see just some of the people pushing back against some of the no lifer posts because um, saw some people kind of push back and say, hey, well, um, uh, and this was like a post that I saw. It was some guy who had said that he's a father to a newborn kid, and he's just like I get it, the no life grind is super fun for some of you who are no lifers, but hey, just as a guy who just had a newborn kid, I appreciate that, some of the grind and chaff has been cut down because I want to try to get up to tier 3 whenever I can. I don't foresee myself doing it immediately, but knowing that I can sort of casually grind it out sounds great to me.
Yeah. I wonder how much they're going to update it, or how long updates take to see how far it gets them to get to those tier 4 and tier 5 and etc. kind of things. Because is it like Final Fantasy 14 where they expand the story in the end game, or is just the end game just dungeons and raids?
I think really endgame for the time being will just be dungeons. There's some story content there. There is going to be seasonal events too, so there'll be seasonal stories that can be played. But I really haven't read too much into how the story stuff is going to work.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on, and that's what we've both been playing. So let's get into some of the stories that happened this week. Kind of a light week. A lot of what happened last week is being more fully fleshed out, and things are moving forward as they usually do throughout the week. But we thought we would start with our talk about Battlefield 2042. To truncate what we talked about last week, they announced that they were going to delay their first season of content until the summer, which a lot of people weren't happy with. Me and you also were not happy with that, considering the people who bought the game are now stuck with the same game that's broken until, what would it say, August or July? And
Yeah, possibly.
yeah, and it's gotten to a point now where it looks like the fan base is demanding refunds on the game itself. Zero, you mentioned this to me before the podcast started. What are the details on this so far?
So, long story short, last week, the Battlefield social media team basically made an announcement and said, "Hey, so we know we made an announcement that in February we're going to put a new update. It's going to add the scoreboard and a couple of other bug fixes and things that'll make the game better to play. It's all going to be gravy. Just stick it out. February's oh so close." And then last week was the bombshell that dropped from the Battlefield social media account that basically said, "Hey, so that February update, it's been delayed into March. We're sorry. There's not much we can do. There's not much we can say. We are doing our damnedest to get this thing fixed and pushed out by March." So, of course, just this has gotten some people quite irate because of the fact that uh, just it's like you said, Battlefield 2042 is just a really really nasty mess right now. You've got bugs, you've got missing features. It's just sort of a bare bones experience, and the big talk and a game that they were sort of throwing down about the game being just super super good, and the season pass was going to drop in some more content, and now that being delayed, it's gotten a lot of people with a bit of buyer's remorse now. So
Mm.
now there's a petition to try to get EA to just do a flat out refund for anyone who bought 2042, and um, and this particular petition is trying to trying to basically make sure that people get refunded according to which platform they bought it from. So the PlayStation Store, you'd get a PlayStation Store credit back, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
And yeah, this petition's actually racing through pretty quick. um, because I think the petition is only asking for 50,000 signatures, and as of the time of this recording right now, there's already 42,000 people who have already signed
Mm.
uh, to demand EA to start refunding people. And apparently, the person who started the petition on Change.org is in talks with a class action lawsuit lawyer
Ah.
about potentially taking the case. So we'll have to see how this pans out.
Now that was the thing I was waiting for, because if there already is talks of people wanting refunds and the change.org petitions and the etc., a lawsuit's coming, and I think I think that will probably, once the lawsuit comes, EA shuts up and they're gonna keep just going on what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, but I guess I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that that a bunch of customers of the game are pissed off and want their money back. I would too. It's complete bullshit what they did with the game, and releasing the game in the way they did. They should have just delayed it, or made it free to play immediately. And well, no, that wouldn't have worked either, because with how the game was, no one would want to play it. But yeah, it just it's it doesn't surprise me that it's going to come down to people wanting refunds, and EA is either going to try and shut them up with more items and goodies or something, or they're just going to shut up until it's August or July and that first season comes, if it comes.
Yeah, I just think it's just insane, though, that the one group that's probably getting burned the most was anyone who ended up throwing down for the Ultimate Edition, because that is, wow, that is a giant chunk of coin. Yeah, MSRP on the Ultimate Edition was a whopping $110, and that included the season pass.
I wouldn't buy the Ultimate Edition even if it was a game I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
Why are you gonna Well, okay, I may end up doing that if the reviews on King of Fighters is good, because if it is, then I want the season passes and everything with what they just announced. But without knowing that the game is good, or hearing that the game was not good at all, why would you spend $110, $120 on it?
Yeah, I'm assuming that it was probably just someone who had a great time with Battlefield 5 and had just said, you know what, had fun with this, want all the stuff that's coming out, so yeah, just sign me up for the Ultimate Edition of Battlefield 2042. And I imagine those people are probably feeling the worst buyer's remorse right now.
This is gonna spell no good for EA. It's gonna lead to them probably having to drop the price of 2042 even more. I think by like we discussed, by either summer or end of year, it's going to be free to play. I think if they're going to do that, they probably want to drop the price now in order to actually get more sales.
Yeah, I believe it's on sale on pretty much every platform right now, because Steam has it on sale right now for $35 for just the standard game, and $85 for the Ultimate Edition. And then I believe the Epic Store probably has the same thing going on. Yep, Epic Store's got the same thing going on. EA's Origin Store has the same sort of price reduction going on. I'd imagine at this point, probably the Xbox Store likely has a price reduction on it too.
Yeah, there's really not much to say on this. It's just that the fan base is waking up, realizing they got hoodwinked, and now they want their money back, and it's kind of too late, I think, at this point, because the prices are dropping, and now EA has already announced that they're gonna have something in August. So I don't know. I mean, EA has to do a lot in order to actually make up for this and make it right, which they're not going to do. They're not going to be able to do that since what the game is what the game is now. So
yeah, I'd almost wonder if they end up maybe doing something like Ubisoft has done before, and just give out a free game just to try to even placate the masses or not who bought the game. If that may be an option on the cards or something.
maybe. I mean, but they're in so many. EA is in so many different marketplaces. It'll be really hard to actually do that without losing money hand over fist by giving out free copies of games to the same person multiple times. So that might be an issue logistically.
Yeah, I mean, I could see something like, hey, you bought it on Steam, then you're entitled to one free full fat EA game for retail price or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just if you redeem it on Steam, then this does not give you the right to turn around and go, hey, I'm gonna go on the EA Origin store and also double dip. So I presume that's likely how they would do it. And then the console stores, they're one and done. So that's easy enough to solve.
Okay. All right. All right. There's not much more that there's to discuss with this. It's basically what it is right now. The situation is more foobar than it was before, and they have to. We're gonna see where they're gonna go from there.
Yeah. If anything, it was just more interesting commentary on just how this thing just keeps becoming a worse and worse trash fire.
Yeah. Well, speaking of trash fires, about 3 years ago was the announcement and the reveal of Stadia, Google's big platform that was just a streaming-based game console-like system where you get to play games just by streaming, and you would just own your games on the cloud. Since then, it was released to not great reviews and to not great word of mouth. Now it's to the point where report from Kotaku is saying that Stadia is quietly dying from Google, where Google may just either sell off its assets or it might actually use it as a service for other companies like Bungie or what was the other one? Ubisoft? That was...
I know Capcom. Ubisoft is another one, but Capcom is one of the third companies that is potentially being talked to about the Stadia technology.
Yeah. So after not a lot of time, and what a lot of people thought was going to happen with this was basically that Google was gonna sunset this pretty quickly, and it sounds like they're doing it. I mean, what should Google do in this situation? Should they stick it out? Should they be selling off their assets? Their assets? What do you think is the right situation on this?
Oof. This one's a bit of a hard one,
Yeah.
especially since if they decide to just get out of the games business completely, there's going to be the one big elephant in the room to solve. What happens to all the people who paid full fat price for games to own completely on Stadia? How do you reconcile those people? Do you just go, well, fuck you, tough luck, and just say, we've got your money. Thanks for believing in us, even though we failed miserably?
Well,
Or do they start talking with their publishing partners like Ubisoft and Bungie and folks like that and say, hey, so we're going to close down Stadia. Um, how do we reconcile these people so they don't end up completely pissed at us and pissed at you guys? And then options like, oh well, we can give them a email saying, hey, you are entitled to one free digital download copy on the PlayStation Store, the Xbox Store, Steam, or wherever, and hope that squares everyone up, and that there isn't a potential talk of a class action lawsuit that spawns up out of nowhere.
I don't think
It's
that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Alphabet is a real powerful company, so I'd imagine they could just lawyer their way out of a class action lawsuit.
Not just that, but when you read the fine print on any of these were all licenses to and not meant to own.
Yep.
So once the licensee is no longer in business, your license goes poof, and that's it. And it's unfortunately legal. You can do that.
Yep.
So,
Well, it's legal to do in the U.S.
mhm.
I believe in some countries in Europe, it is actually completely illegal to do that.
I don't think
So,
Stadia got that far.
I do believe that Stadia did make it to a few European countries,
Yeah.
and those European countries that it did launch in, I do believe have quite quite protective laws for the consumer in the event of stuff like just a digital shop just going completely poof. So I just wonder if that will end up just overcomplicating things in those countries and possibly getting people inspired in the U.S. to say, hey, we need to see about pushing some sort of class action lawsuit because as maybe we can leverage the heat that Google's getting over in Europe and maybe leverage that to our advantage as American consumers or something. So uh, I honestly I just don't know what the best way out for anybody in this situation is. And there was also speculation and rumor that um, Google may be licensing the Stadia technology to Peloton.
I mean,
So
it's you find it funny, and it is pretty humorous. It's not a bad idea.
yeah, um, in my mind, I just pictured the exhibit meme of yo dog. Um, I heard you like working out, so oh, you can play your video games while you work out and have your Peloton trainer shout while you work out.
Yeah.
So just uh, in theory, I don't really see it being too much of a stretch because there are some people who do like to do stuff like work out and play video games and things like that. So wouldn't really surprise me if the speculation that Google's trying to license the Stadia technology over to Peloton would be if that comes to bear fruit because
Mm.
yeah, uh, especially something like Destiny 2 because back when I was more actively playing it, I remember one of my friends he used to run on his treadmill while playing Destiny 2. So
God,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely would not be a stretch.
Huh. I mean, props to him for taking a sedentary lifestyle and making it more athletic. But That's gotta be kind of tough to play Destiny. Oh no, you're doing a lot of of ancillary kind of objectives in that, because you're not going to do a raid while you're on your Peloton. You're gonna collect X shards in order to do this one subquest, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was what my friend did. He would just do his dailies and stuff while running on the treadmill and everything. But
Huh.
yeah, just it just made me think of how many people got the really expensive Peloton bikes for Christmas or for New Year's or something. And some of these Peloton bikes or treadmills have become basically expensive clothes hangers now that just Stadia comes out. Then yeah, just you might see people busting them out and going, all right, so I'm gonna get fit and I'm also gonna play video games.
My thoughts on this basically was it happened faster than I initially thought it would. I thought this was gonna stick it out a little bit more, maybe another year or two. They're at least being smart with the technology, because with the technology itself is impressive to a point. The fact that you can play games on medium settings and it still works pretty well is impressive. It really is. I think the issue just became that you'd have to buy the games over again. And it's not like where it is with xCloud on Microsoft, where you bought the game once and you have it. And I think
Yeah,
xCloud completely killed it, to be honest.
yeah. And xCloud being also a perk that's part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate,
Yeah.
I think that's really what made the difference. Had had Google marketed Stadia as sort of like a all-you-can-eat buffet rental service, then I think it would have done much better than this whole well, we're basically a console, but except the only thing that you need is just one of many controllers that's hooked up to the Stadia app or your Chrome browser, and then forcing people to shell out just gobs and gobs of money for games that either they're having to rebuy completely or just buy outright. And because like Destiny 2, even though it had went free to play right before the launch of Stadia, you still had to buy Destiny 2 on Stadia,
Yeah, you had to buy
which
the
a lot of
collection, right?
yep.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of people quite irate about Stadia because a lot of people are like, okay, well, Destiny's free to play, so I guess I'll check out Stadia on Destiny since it's free to play. And it was just like, actually, no, you can't check out Stadia as free to play on Stadia because we're making you rebuy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, that was a golden opportunity that they pissed out the door. That they should have just left base Destiny 2 free to play, and just told people, hey, come check out our new service Stadia. Oh, by the way, did you know you can play Destiny 2 and with cross progression live and the game going free to play, you can bring your character that you spent hundreds or maybe even thousands of hours on, bring that character right on over to Stadia and check it out. And in my mind, that would have been just a great opportunity to try to sell people on Stadia, but didn't even do that. They were just like, oh well, yeah, you've got two choices. You can just buy games outright, or you can sign up for our Stadia Pro service, and um, and even the Stadia Pro service, it was kind of like Xbox Live Gold. So you got a couple free games every month, but a lot of the games were just like small budget titles, some indie titles, and very rarely was there anything major label. So again, it was just someone, whoever was running that the Stadia program, they were just thinking in just old business models and not really looking forward to how competitors like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate were doing things.
Yeah. And they did have the Stadia Pro model, which was it was $20 a month, I believe, or was it
Yeah.
$15 a month? But it would only be a select amount of games that you'd be able to choose from. So, I mean, there's a lot of missed opportunities with Stadia, and I think a streaming service would still work. I mean, XCloud is working, so that right there is the example that you would need. XCloud as a service works as long as it is just part of a larger service. But I don't think you're going to see another streaming service that is just going to do what Stadia did. So I don't know. I mean, it to me, it's for technology wise, it's a shame that they weren't able to improve it more to make it more attractive and to do different things for it. But yeah, on the other hand, I'm not surprised that it's slowly dying and it's on the way out.
Yeah. And actually, I stand corrected on the price. It's actually $10 per month.
Oh, they changed the price.
Yeah, I guess the original asking price of 20 was a little too much, so I guess they slashed the price. And I think even at some point, they even had some broadband companies were offering basically free Stadia Pro kits. So you got the Stadia controller, and I think like a couple months of free Stadia for you to sort of try out the service on your new shiny broadband service,
Yeah.
just to try to get people in the door. And unfortunately, I don't think that paid off too much on the dividends right there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just I think them squandering the opportunity to let people try it out super early was really the thing that just sort of added to the misery of Stadia. Because in my opinion, if they had just set it up that Destiny 2 was completely free to play, and you could log on with your character that you had for years on Xbox, PlayStation 4, or even PC, and just made it so they could just sort of sign up on Stadia and just start playing around and everything. It would have been a great way to sell it. And oh, that's the other thing too. Um, any multiplayer games on Stadia were just a bad time, because
Oh, yeah.
Stadia would use its own lobbies. They wouldn't cross-pollinate
Oh.
lobbies with like PC or Xbox or PlayStation unless the game had it coded on their Stadia version that they could actually play with completely different platforms. So that's another thing that um, really made trying to sell people on the Stadia copy of Destiny 2 a real bad time, because it was just like, oh yeah, well, um, one, you have to rebuy Destiny 2 as a complete collection, and oh yeah, you can't group up with anybody who's played Destiny forever. You have to hope and pray that there's somebody on the Stadia version that knows how to do the raids and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in regards to, let's see, companies that might be interested in its services, we had Peloton. They asked Bungie. I doubt Bungie now will be interested in it now that it's part of Sony. Capcom.
The angle that I've seen is that Stadia could be, or the Stadia technology could be used to basically offer a better, more active demo. So
Yeah.
for anyone who's just like, oh, Monster Hunter Rise on PC, I'm not sure I want to buy that. And let's say in this hypothetical case, Capcom licenses the technology to make a demo version of Monster Hunter Rise that's just completely playable from a web browser. Then it would be a great way to sort of drive traffic towards people who may have been sort of hazy on the idea of Monster Hunter Rise, to just immediately just go, oh shit, so this is what the final game's all about? Okay, well, cool. In that case, let me go to Steam and buy the final game.
Just as a side note, though, Monster Hunter on a streaming connection, that smells like trouble.
Yeah, but I think the premise would just be that um, it would just be for demos, not really final retail games.
Yeah.
So just to sort of get people to taste the game and then go, okay, well, I want this game, and then let's say you get to the end of the Stadia powered demo, then I would assume that you could probably have the uh, Stadia demo end with a screen that jumps to, "Hi, did you like the demo? Well, here are the following places you can buy it in," with like a link to the PlayStation Network store, the Xbox store, Steam, Epic, and where applicable, the Nintendo Switch eShop.
Mm. Yeah. Well, we'll see if this is true. If the reports are flying out that it is, there has to be an announcement at some point. Unless if they're really gonna quietly kill it and just never update it, that would be screwed up. But
Yeah, unfortunately, as someone who's been in really into the smartphone sector,
mhm.
it would not surprise me if Google just silently buries this and it just goes and tells people, well, it sucks that Stadia died, but thank you all for your money. We'll see you next time on whatever Skunkworks project we have an idea on.
Yeah, that's sad. All right. Well, with a short week as a short episode. So that is it for this week's episode of Cooperative Game Chat. Tune in next week when we talk more about new things that are coming out, including the Nintendo's new direct that's coming out the next tomorrow. So we're not gonna be able to talk about it this week, but we'll definitely talk it next week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially since it's covering stuff that's supposed to be for the first half of this year. So we'll see. We'll see what they have to say, because I think Nintendo's announcements have been rather quiet and subdued. But supposedly, there's already rumors that the next Mario Kart's going to be discussed. Rumors of the next Xenoblade game
Mm-hmm.
being discussed. So we'll see how much truth there is. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Man, a new Mario Kart with how much that sells, if I were in their business, I wouldn't bother. I would say we're using this for the next Switch. Don't worry. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll see. Unless the rumors are it's more of a Nintendo Kart than a Mario Kart, but we'll see about that. Well, anyway, that's it for this week's episode. I am the Wiz.
I'm Zero.
And we'll talk to you next time.